flagship program, Talkline, America's #1 Jewish program, the pulse beat of the Jewish community, with Zev Brenner. And now, your host, Zev Brenner.
And welcome to another edition of Talkline. I'm Zev Brenner. We have a special broadcast live in our studios. Moshe Friedman was supposed to do a special last week. Due to the storm, we're knocked off the air, so he's with us now, political analyst, consultant. We'll be looking at what happened this week, the election results during our second hour. Among our guests, Mordechai Ben David. We'll look at Seagate and some other devastated communities. But let me welcome Moshe Friedman to our broadcast. Moshe, Shavua Tov.
Agit Tavach, Zev, and Agit Tavach all our listeners. And thank you for tuning in. We're live at 5:70 a.m. on Talkline Communications, and we're streaming live at talklinescommunications.com.
And our listen line, by the way, is 212-419-4240, extension number 1. So if you want to listen on a listen line, which a lot of people did last week, it's 212-219-4240, extension number 1, or talklinecommunications.com. So, Moshe, your analysis about what transpired.
Well, let's start with the local races, because I've not been involved with anything with the presidential races. I brought along Jacob Kornbluh from Jacob Kornbluh's blog, and he's been following it, and I'll leave that to Dov Heiken. Dov Heiken was in Florida running all around for Romney. I'll leave these analyses up for them. So let's go over here on local races. First of all, we have to congratulate Dov Heiken for getting reelected. He got 94%. Nice, interesting that the Tischler kid still pulled out 6%. It looks like he's quite a popular boy between his friends that he was able to pull out 6%. But bigger than that, we have to congratulate Simcha Felder for his win. It was a decisive win. 66% is a decisive victory. It was with about 6% more than I predicted. I felt it's going to be a 60-40 race. But the community spoke. This is what we've been all about, that the community should be a choice. And he won. Since he won, we just have to hope that he will serve the whole community, and he should be matzliach, whatever he's doing. He has a big task in front of him. We all have to pray that Hashem should give him the das and the strength to go through. He has a lot of pressure on his back right now. The media is full that he is one of the key players if the state senate should go to the Democratic side or to the Republican side, which will come back shortly. And we hope that, as life meluchim v'surim b'yad Hashem is, that he should make the decision that should be affect Klal Yisrael in a right way. But before we go into that, which will take callers on this particular race, I'd like to give you a run-through on a couple of different races. We've been involved in Queens. If we would look the winner in Queens, we have to bring up Assemblyman Phil Goldfeder. He won in 2 separate races, and he won big. He was most probably one of the only Jewish officials over there that supported or actually endorsed Adabo, due to most probably he had some pressure of the Democratic Party, and Adabo won. So congratulations, Assemblyman Phil, on that win. And on Weissenberg, where everybody was supporting Sussman, he again pulled out a victory. So Assemblyman Phil, there goes a double bat for you. Congratulations on your win. Councilman Eric Ulrich, we had a great race. He did good. He was expected to win. Hurricane Sandy came in. He took out the base of Breezy Point. He took out his base of Far Rockaway. I don't think it was fair what the governor did, that he created that everybody could vote throughout the state, because he only created that you should vote for president of the United States Senators, not for the local elections. So if I have to look at it honestly, I think they took away an opportunity to have a great member in the state Senate. But Eric is young enough. He's still a councilman, and he'll be around. And Emet Hashem, on our next occasion, we'll have, because he's been a great person, leader. So we will not put him in a loss line, but obviously it is a loss. But that's what's happening in Queens. Turning over into Brooklyn before we'll head back to Simcha Felder, the most probably we have to give credit for, people don't know him that much, that would be a political consultant that's a very good friend of mine, Jeff Leb. He would be most probably one of the only person that you could say he went 6 for 6. He was involved in 6 races. Each and every race of that he won. Congratulations, Jeff. That's a good job. I cannot say that on myself. From there on, we got to go to another political consultant, Kalman Yeager. Kalman was brought in to close the deal for Simcha. Kalman did it. He closed the deal for Simcha. Congratulations, Kalman, on a win. But obviously the winner, of course, comes back to Councilman David Greenfield. If you're going to look into it, he today is the major player. State Senator Simcha Felder and Assemblyman Dov Heiken will have to share over there the credit from whatever comes out in Albany. Everybody knows Councilman Greenfield was originally involved with Simcha Felder, and he supported him, and obviously his supporters showed him again. But much more important than that, if we look this week on his record, what happened with Storm Sandy, twice when it came to the marathons, he with his colleagues in council were able to force Mayor Bloomberg to cancel the marathon, which we all know forcing Mayor Bloomberg is not such an easy thing to do. He did it. Congratulations, Councilman Greenfield, for being in the right place and the right time, and coming back with right now with the gas rationale, which should have been done originally. But the mayor didn't want to have his headlines throughout the city that New York City doesn't have gas. It looks like he liked better the lines, and Iran should tell us that they could send us gas, but the mayor did not do anything. He came last week out in public, and he said, let's go ahead and do something, and the mayor did it, and the lines are, Baruch Hashem, much easier. From there on in Flatbush, Assemblyman Simbrowitz won. He had a battle in the primaries, which we've been helping Ben Axler out. He won again now. Congratulations for that. A bigger winner in Flatbush would be Assemblywoman Helene Weinstein. She's a very special lady. She has done a lot for the community, and we were all worried based on, not for her win, we all knew that she's going to win big, but there was a gentleman, Yosef Ayun, running against him, a guy that last time got 40%, and he was basically trying to run on certain moral issues, but she was such a good friend of the community, and everybody is worried what the outcome would be. Baruch Hashem, we were able to say that she pulled in 80% versus 20, so congratulations, Assemblywoman Helene Weinstein, for her re-election. Losers of the week. I'm not going to put somebody into a loser category, but I have to mention my good friend Obi Mori, the campaign manager of Simcha Felder, which I'm sure there's some win to him as well, and a lot of people give him a lot of credit, but I on a personal level will tell him that if you look back on his live line on his Twitter and on his press releases that he threw off the Tischler brothers from the line, I was involved in fighting that back. We got them on the line. They were on the line. Even though they didn't get the votes, if you understand the political end, putting somebody on the line is a big win for itself. That was a process that I wanted to learn for myself, how to put people on the ballot, how to take them off. We did that. And as a matter of fact, I was most probably almost able to knock off the tax cut now line, but which we didn't do after I made a deal with Kalman Yeager. He got involved and he asked me to step aside for the benefit of the community of this whole race, which I did. And at that time was that I should leave off the tax cut now, and that's what we did. But I would like to come back and focus on State Senator Simcha Felder. He is right now our state senator. The community spoke. As you all know, we in Community First, the only thing that we fought was that it should be a fair election. We never endorsed State Senator Strobel. Yes, we worked with him a nice couple of months because while everybody was trying to push him off the ballot and take away the right that the community should have a choice, we believe in the middle class should have a choice. Not only people should tell what to do, and having a fair election was one of our main goals. Once we accomplished that, we tried to stay away from the race, but when he won such a decisive victory, we wish him good luck. What I would like to do, Zev, and get in some callers' advice is, since he is going to be a major player, Senator-elect Felder, concerning if the state senate should go on the Democratic line or on the Republican line, and as before in the campaign he said he will caucus with anybody that will give most for the community, I would like to have the input from our community, which whom should he caucus? Should he caucus with the Democrats or should he caucus with the Republicans, and what he should ask for his support. Let's try to get in some people of the audience and see what they have to say.
So let me give out the phone number, and if you want to reach us, it's 212-769-1925. That's 212-769-1925. You want to email us, it's info@talklinecommunications.com. That's info@talklinecommunications.com. And perhaps, I think this is a question that you can ask of any elected official, how you like them to respond to the storm as well that took place in our community. But 212-769-1925 is the number to reach us. If you prefer email, again, it's info@talklinecommunications.com, and we'll get to as many calls as we can. So if the lines are busy, keep on trying, but you can try right now again. That's 212-769-1925, live in our studios. Moshe Friedman.
Before we go on to our phone calls, I'd like to remind our listeners, since I grew up in Seagate and everybody knows of the storm last week that happened in Seagate, I have been and I've looked at the place that I've lived and grew up, and basically there was devastation all along, and the community is trying to get together, and a lot of people over there got together under the leadership of the Dayan Pinchas Meisels. They made a fund, a special fund for the Seagate residents. They really could use any kind of help, since a lot of people were basically left with only the clothes before they ran away. To reach that fund, try to help these people with whatever you can, is 718-557-7774. Again, that's 718-557-7774. Or if you go to Seagate Hurricane Emergency Fund.blogspot.com. This is a fund that is being run by the Rabbunim of Seagate. It's being endorsed by the leadership of Seagate, and it's very important for that community to be able to come back. It's a nice community, a big Heimish community that is devastated. Nobody is there, and they need a lot of help. People think when they say that every basement in Seagate was flooded, that you're talking, what's the big deal, a little basement? I want listeners to know my father's house was most probably on the highest point in Seagate. He most probably had the least damages. When you're talking about the least damages, would still be $30,000 or $40,000. There's nobody in Seagate that has less damages than that. The community is devastated, and it's nice people, and they're not rich people, and even if FEMA will give them back, it takes time till they give back, and they just give back a couple of cents on the dollar. Again, any help is appreciated. If you could, the phone number to call in is 718-557-7774, or at http Seagate Hurricane Emergency Fund.blogspot.com. It's being endorsed by all the Rabbunim of Seagate.
And I might add, by the way, that FEMA is not giving any money to Seagate because they canceled the flood insurance for almost everybody there. So there'll be no FEMA funding, so to buttress your point. Okay, let us, before we get our numbers are 212-769-1925. That's 212-769-1925. Let's go to Rifki in Borough Park. If you have your questions, we're going to get to your emails, by the way, is info@talklinecommunications.com. Let's go to Rifki in Borough Park. You're on the air with Moshe Friedman. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. You know that the men in Borough Park have gone to rescue people and help people in the form of Shomrim and Hatzalah members and Chaverim, and now the women don't want to be left out, so we are having the Women's Rescue event tomorrow at Bethel on 15th Avenue and 48th Street, and this is endorsed by the Rabbanim and the Achiezer organization. We have a moving program featuring Rabbi Fischel Schechter, Rabbi Snow, Rabbi Yudkowsky, Mrs. Miriam Swirlov, and there's an audio-visual presentation, and we're going to raise money to help people who are in crisis due to this storm.
Hey, thank you for that, and good luck with the event.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's an email question for you, Moshe. I think Simcha Felder should get more funding from someone to clean the streets of Borough Park.
Okay, that's one option that we should do. Should he go with the funding to the Democratic side or to the Republican side? Please email us this major question. That's most probably the biggest decision right now on Senator-elect Felder's mind. Should he caucus with the Republicans that they have done for us in the last 2 years? Should he caucus with the Democrats that they wanted the majority? Should he be the deciding person? We're all waiting for your phone calls and your emails to give us some advice where Senator-elect the community would like to see Senator-elect Simcha Felder heading.
Here's an email question. Mr. Felder's overturning term limits allow Bloomberg to remain in power and act as regulations of bris milah and mitzitza b'peh.
That question for that answer is a good question that should have been done before last week. That answer should be right now he is elected. He is our state senator for the next 2 years, and we should all wish him luck, and we should all be matzliach whatever he does.
But were these issues such an important factor when Congressman Turner ran for office? These issues were very much in the fore. Did they play any role this time around, Moshe?
Again, as I told you, I will not discuss an election where 66% of the people spoke and they said that he should be the representative. It's time to give the gentleman a grace period. He was elected by the majority, and all these questions, I'm sure, if somebody's going to run against him in 2 years, will come up again.
212-769-1925, our numbers. If you want to look at any aspect of the race, especially local races, Moshe Friedman is a political consultant and analyst, and we're looking at some of the races that took place this week right here in our community, and we hope many of you had a chance to vote because some people were displaced. Okay, let's take another email. By the way, our email address is info@talklinecommunications.com. That's info@talklinecommunications.com. And if you want to give us a call, it's 212-769-1925. Here's an email question. I think Felder should go with the Democrats as they're more likely to give social funding for the Hamish Yidden.
That is a very actual good point. But I don't know if the state Senate is the people that are in there. I don't think they will cancel or do anything about that. There is no question that the Democrats are good with that, and there's a lot of hypocrisy going around. I'm sure when we'll wait for the results of the presidential election, which I predicted all along that President Obama is going to win, and he's going to win big, and I've seen all these people going so enthusiastically for Governor Romney, and I used to ask question, are you voting for Romney with your food stamp card in your pocket or not?
Here's an interesting question. I hope Simcha is going to go with the Democrats because the Republicans don't deserve anything. They didn't back or help Storben. I love that. That's a great.
Zev, again, this is something. This should have been asked last week. This doesn't matter right now. And whatever Senator Stroben does or doesn't do, he is welcome to do. As a matter of fact, I've seen this week all over that he's running for city council next week. And the rumors a couple of weeks ago was that he made some kind of a deal to run for that seat. So maybe they didn't back him based on a deal that they made.
Here's an email question. What were the final numbers in the Axelrod-Simbrowitz race?
The final numbers were 55% were for Assemblyman Simbrowitz, 26% was for Russell Gallo, 20% was for Ben Axelrod, which two things have to be noted very much. Ben Axelrod had two bases. He had the Frum community of Flatbush, and he had the Russian community. The Russian community are literally not there due to the storm of last week. And in general, even for a third party to get 20% is a very big number. Had that storm not come in, I wouldn't be surprised he would be at 33, 35%, and it would be interesting to see what the results would have been, because it was a very low election. 2 years ago, there was many, many thousands more. And as you mentioned that, it's interesting to point out, all over New York City, the election results were about 20% less. People came out to vote with 20% less than in 2008. But in our Frum community, we were around 25% less, which this is something that we've been advocating all along, that it doesn't matter for whom you vote. we should come out and vote. If you look at a state Senate race, yes, Simcha Felder got, I think, 36,000 votes, and David Strobe only got like 18,000 votes, but together it's a very small amount of number that voted in the state Senate race. I think that number 36,000 is wrong. You got more votes than that. 36,000 and 18,000?
Okay, well, let's take our phone call. We have 212-769-1925. Getting a lot of emails, people saying that Simcha Felder should vote with the Democrats or Republicans. We'll get to some of them. We'll take your calls as well. 212-769-1925. You want to email us, info@talklinecommunications.com. Let's go to Mayor from Seagate. Mayor from Seagate, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Moshe,
Yeah,
I get the up.
I get the walk, my bad.
I want to second the emotion. Seagate needs a lot of help.
My bad. You
Yeah.
had an interesting story to tell. You want to tell people, but very fast, how you ended up on that garbage truck?
Yes.
Go ahead, tell the story. You're on the air. Go ahead, tell the
All right. I was chased out. I decided to stay in Seagate because I'm the head of Chalayim in Seagate. So I stood. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Keep talking. We're listening to you.
Yeah. All right. I decided to stay in Seagate because I'm the head of Chalayim, and I had to stay there. So it came about 6:45. A neighbor of mine comes over to me and says, leave Seagate right away because the water is coming out. I asked him, where is it coming from? He said, on Surf Avenue. So I left Seagate right away. I went with Neptune Avenue. And the water was coming fast on Neptune from the bay that's behind Seagate, that runs until Shell Road, if you're familiar with it. Over there, the water overflew, and it came with a vengeance toward Seagate. Thank God that I was able to drive my car to West 21st Street, where and that's where I got stuck, and I couldn't open the door of the car yet, and because the water was pressing against it. But Baruch Hashem, with the Irish Hills, I pushed the door open, and I stepped out, and I had my senses to take my towels and fiddle with me, and my cell phone.
Okay,
I
so
saw garbage.
let me just remind people, no, my bad, just 1 second. Let me just remind people, in order to help the Seagate community, you could call in at 718-557-7774. Again, that's 718-557-7774, or at Seagate Hurricane Emergency Fund.blogspot.com. Seagate Hurricane Emergency Fund.blogspot.com. Any donation is appreciated. The entire community is devastated and looking out for Chaim Ben Yisrael to help them which whatever way it's possible.
Okay, so you want to continue your story?
Yeah. So I went to the front of my car, and the water was literally throwing me down, was pushing me against the car. Because I had some clothes on, I knew swimming was not an option. So I had no choice. I saw the garbage truck, which was empty in the back. There wasn't garbage in there. I hopped, the water helped me hop into the basket in the back. And then when the water came up to there, I found a way to climb up to the roof of the truck. The truck was shaking. And after about 2 hours, I called my son. I told him, son, I'm shivering. I'm afraid I'm going into hypothermia. So he tells me, Daddy, you have a talus with you. Put it on. And this is what I did. I put on a talus, and then I waited till 12 o'clock.
So my
Which
bad,
was-
actually, are you telling me that you were standing on a garbage truck dressed with a Tachlis on the street in the middle of the hurricane?
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
And people called 911. Listen to this. People called 911, and the 911 answered they have an order from Mayor Billenberg not to rescue people who didn't heed His Highness's evacuation orders. So they should leave, which means they should leave the people die.
okay, my bad.
I
have to move on with other stuff. I'm just going to remind people again that the number to call to donate to the Seagate Fund is 718 let me just repeat that number again, 557-7774, 718-557-7774, or on the website, Seagate Hurricane Emergency Fund.blogspot.com. Seagate Hurricane Emergency Fund.blogspot.com. We'll be coming back soon to some calls about Seagate, but let's move on to some emails that we got. The next email that we got was a quite interesting email. It's nice to see how people care for one another. Laser at Yahoo asked the question, what's with Penny Ringler? Is he out for a job? I don't think so. First of all, he still has a job going till January, and I'm sure such a capable person as a chief of staff to a state senator will find a different job. We'll move on to the next email. That's from Philostak at AOL.
Go ahead.
Don't give out the names. And I'll read the email. If, as Mr. Friedman said, the government disenfranchised victims of Sandy on the local level by allowing them to only vote outside of their home areas for offices such as president and vice president and not local ones, why is there no case brought in court about this? Holding him accountable and possibly ordering a new election which might send Councilman Ulrich to Albany, it sounds outrageous. How is such a thing tolerated? My friend, you're asking a very good question. I've been pushing the campaign of Ulrich before the elections to stop these elections. There's no question this was enfranchised, but I get this was a phone call from Councilman Eric Ulrich, because right after the hurricane, what he said for all his staff working on the campaign, he said this is not a time to campaign, this is a time to help people, and I am sure that that Sunday and Monday before the elections, the last thing on Councilman Ulrich's head was if he would win or lose. He was looking out for the people all day long. But yes, without a question, there will be some people in the state Senate and in Assembly that were not representing their people. They just got lucky by Hurricane Sandy.
But the real question, though, is, if he lost, if the perception that he lost because of this, he's disenfranchised, does he have any legal recourse? That's an interesting question. I think that's what the listener was responding to.
I'm sure that we leave that up to the campaigns, but I've seen that Councilman Ulrich conceded, so I would assume he moved on with his life. He's still young and he has a whole life ahead, and I'm sure he'll do some good. Let's move on to the next email, and here's the next email. I'm happy that Felder won, since it was such a dirty campaign never seen in Borough Park before. And I hope that Felder is not changing jobs like last time. After he won, he betrayed his voters. If morally he should stick with Republicans, if funding-wise for his voters and community, he should stick with Democrats. Then the guy left his name. I don't think if we should put it on yes or no. My friend, the answer is it was not such a dirty campaign this time around than it was the last 2 years ago. Unfortunately, people don't know what a dirty campaign is. When people see a leaflet with facts, whether it's a fact on this side or on that side, people look at it as a dirty campaign. These are things that are 100% acceptable. Somebody goes out in public and he runs for office, they're entitled to know that he didn't pay rent, and they're entitled to know what his voting record in city council is, and both are not considered dirty, both are considered fair game when somebody is running for office. So this guy says he should caucus with the Republicans when they need him for his votes, and he should caucus with the Democrats when he needs them some money. That's not good advice for Senator-elect Felder. We need some real advice from people with whom he should caucus. We'll move on to the next email. And they read, how could Felder run as a Democrat and then caucus with a Republican? Isn't that hypocritical? The answer is, what the perception on the street is that he ran as a Democrat simply because he did not want another Democrat running. Is it hypocritical? There's another 4 state senators, Democrats, that the last 2 years had caucused with the Republicans. So there is such a thing going, that you run on one party and you caucus on the other party. Again, we're looking for people on advice, what he should do and what he should bring back to the community. Senator-elect Felder says he will vote with who will bring the most for the community. What does the middle-class average person think the community needs? Let's move on to the next email. The next question is like this: who was running his campaign? Because David Greenfield was suddenly on the establishment side, it was very confusing, and Greenfield had to do a robocall endorsing Felder, and the only reason we elected Greenfield was because he was anti-establishment. So what changes this election? Who is the big boss that's controlling things? Alto Vito Lopez, he's not around. And this is from Chaim. The answer is, my friends, what is establishment? You guys we have to make something very clear: who is establishment and who is not. Every person says he is not the establishment. If a guy wins the elections, is he establishment? What does establishment mean? We have given out a piece of a newspaper before the elections, which was called the Tzibur, which everybody read. What does establishment stand for? It's a very good question. David Greenfield, Councilman David Greenfield, stands for the little man, for the middle-class person. He goes out there and he fights every single day for the little person that he could help. Does he help our moisdes and organizations? Of course, because they turn around and they help the little guy as well. The only thing that he doesn't do is he's not in the pocket of big business people. Councilman David Greenfield was on Simcha Felder's side from day one. As a matter of fact, as everybody knows, I was not with Simcha Felder in the beginning. And as 2 people, I agreed to disagree with him on this race. But I've constantly asked him, why are you on Simcha Felder's side? Did you look at the other sides? And he answered me something that's very interesting, and I had to agree at the end. He said, Moshe, at every race, I look what my 2 options are. I did not tell you that he is the best politician in the world to represent us. What I am telling you, there are 2 people running. One is Simcha Felder and one is David Stroben. Besides the fact that Simcha Felder is a good friend of mine, he is the better candidate. And I have to admit, at the end, I realized that it is true. He was the better candidate, so that's why he was with Simcha Felder. We'll move on to the next question that I just got from a friend of mine that's texting me. Guys, please do not text me. I got to read my emails as well. And the guy texts me, why was Simcha so disrespectful to his opponent as not to acknowledge David Stroben or to debate him? That's a very good question, but unfortunately, my good friend, you have to know that this is politics as usual. Simcha Felder was the guy with the name out there, and David Stroben did not have the name. There was no gain for Simcha Felder to debate, so why should he debate? I think if you would have run for an office, and you would have had all the name recognition, and your friend wouldn't have had, it would be the same thing. So we're going to move on to the next email, and the next email is, who is Mr. Kornbluh? Isn't that you? I guess not, because if you would go out and you'll check in Belzer Besmedish, they have enough trouble with him over there, and they have their issues, and he will be on the air shortly, because he is following Mitt Romney and President Obama. I had with him constantly these arguments that I wanted President Barack Obama to win, and he wanted Mitt Romney, so you're going to hear from him shortly.
Let me give out the phone numbers again. Our numbers, in that you're listening to Moshe Friedman, political consultant analyst, looking at some of the local races. Our numbers are 212-769-1925, 212-769-1925. What do you want to see your local elected officials do for you? 212-769-1925. You want to email us. It's info@talklinecommunications.com. That's info@talklinecommunications.com. Go ahead, Moshe.
We'll go to the next email, and this is an email. I think there was bigger lines this time than any other election. The reason there was less votes because we were pushed out of voting in Borough Park. I personally tried to vote and was told to go to a different location. I went there, and my name was not there, and I wasn't the only person. The person before and after me had the same story. My friend, this happens once in 10 years. This is called redistricting. And yes, everybody had to check where to go out and vote. I was also changed from voting place from one place to another. But that is not the reason why people voted less. People voted less because either they cared less or another reason. We'll go to the next email. This one we read. Okay.
Okay, let me give you, we're going to get to your calls in just a moment. If you're on the line, we're going to get to you. It's 212-769-1925. That's 212-769-1925. Your email is info@talklinecommunications.com, and Moshe is reading the emails that are coming in fast and furious. Some interesting questions that are out there, and certainly people, if you didn't get a chance to vote, by the way, I think we want to hear from you too. If you went to your polling place and you couldn't vote and you really wanted to vote and you're part of the 25% that Moshe Friedman spoke about, we want to hear from you if you were part of the 25% or part of the others that did vote. And go ahead, Moshe.
The next email is Moshe. You and I know where his heart is. Didn't he strike a deal with the Aguda and the Republican Party? Moshe, you know who I am, so please don't mention it on the air. Just address the question. My friend, nobody would know who sent the email if I don't mention your name. Did he make a deal with the Republican Party and the Aguda? I cannot tell you that. This is what the speculation is all about, and I guess time will tell.
Okay, Avraham in Borough Park. Your question for Moshe Friedman. Go ahead, Avraham in Borough Park. Yes, Abraham in Borough Park, are you there? If you're not there, then we'll go to Brighton Beach. Abraham, are you there? Okay, I hear you fumbling there, but okay, let's go to Brighton Beach. Okay, Zev in Brighton Beach. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, shalom, good luck to you.
Good luck
I'd like to tell you some of the stuff. First of all, we're right down the boardwalk from Seagate, so we also got plastered pretty bad here. All our synagogues are down. West End Avenue, where all the yeshivas, that's right on Manhattan Beach. A lot of yeshivas and synagogues there. Everything was destroyed there. I saw Sifrei Torah is just totally destroyed. New Brighton Jewish Center is not accessible. Ocean Parkway Jewish Center is not accessible. But I saw something which really disturbed me about the second day. I mean, a lot of people came out of their houses. A lot of people didn't have food to eat. And right outside the Shorefront Y, which is on Coney Island Avenue, right by the boardwalk, right outside the Y there, on the right off the premises there was two Heimish guys there in SUVs and supervising National Guard, giving out food. And the food was called MREs. Those are meals ready to eat, which they give out in military situations or disaster zones. They have calories, specific calories on them, specific nutrition, and there are kosher MREs. And I see two Heimish guys there supervising it. It's pitch black. It's finster out there. Everyone's in a state. Everyone.
You want to pronounce a phone number on the air?
Hello?
Yes, so Moshe wants to know, do you have any number people can call that want to be helpful?
We're totally disorganized here. We're totally disorganized. Anyway, so what I saw there, so
it could be a lot of people waiting to go on the air.
There'll be 2 minutes. So there was some Heimish guys there supervising, giving out the food. So I expected they're going to have kosher MREs there because it's a big Jewish population. The military does produce kosher MREs. No. They're in the finster dark without any electricity. They're giving out chazir to the Jewish old ladies in Brighton Beach, supervised by two Heimish guys.
So
and I don't know who's responsible for this, but they should have set up a system. They know there's a lot of Jewish people.
I'm going to let Moshe respond to it. What you're saying is if
that's the
true,
case, what I think you should do is you should call Masbia, Sandy Rappaport has been doing a great job and has been mentioned all over in the papers that he gave.
I mean, this is after the fact. This has been going on.
But something we appreciate, and we, even though it's after the fact, we can try to prevent it for the future. That's what Moshe is saying. But thank you for your call, Avraham in Borough Park.
Before we go on to Avram and Borough Park, I'd like to remind people. You might think that I'm biased. Yes, I grew up in Seagate, and I've seen on myself the devastation in that community. To help via phone calling in is 718-557-7774 or on the web at Seagate Hurricane Emergency Fund blogspot.com. Agitavach Avram, what's your question?
Yeah, I'll also say two things. Number one, writing Lashon Hara of one Jew against another Jew is the dirty campaign, number one. Number two, what should Simcha Felder work on is transportation help for our families and tuition help. And the most important thing, as a father of a hearing impaired child, we need services from the Board of Education. Our children are mandated for 10 months services. Really, they should be mandated for 12. And as of now, many kids do not get these services because of budget cuts.
So let me repeat what Avram said, and that's a very valid, good point. Avram said that Simcha Felder should try to caucus with the people that help special needs children. Unfortunately, if people know what that means, right now the system is set up against these parents. They are set up that they do not get any funding from the city. They have to go out, lay out the money for the schools. They have to fight the city. They should be reimbursed, and they're not getting anything back. What Avram wants to do, what the Aguda and Assemblywoman Elaine Weinstein worked last year, but unfortunately it was vetoed by the governor, was that the state should pay for this, and then the city, if they could fight and claim that the person does not deserve it, at that time take it away. Aaron, that's a good point, and I hope some of the advisors of Simcha Felder is listening to your pain. We all feel that, and let's hope we could do something for that.
Thank you for your call. Let's go to Shlomi in Borough Park. Again, our numbers are 212-769-1925. Info at talklinecommunications.com. Go ahead. Shlomi in Borough Park.
Hi, I just want to make one quick point. Everyone. I want to have Moshe as our next elected official in Borough Park. I really feel that he's a great guy. I worked with him a lot, and he is the person that cut through all the garbage and just talks what we want to know and we want to do. And I think he would be a great guy. And he has my endorsement, and so does he have a lot of friends here in the community, and I really feel that he would be a great guy.
Shlomi, but I need the endorsement of Moshe Grossman.
I guess you don't know who I am. Moshe, nice try. Try again, but I'll text you. But I really feel that Moshe, you are our man, and I heard this from a few people already, that we have to at least draft Moshe and make him as our next person to run for office.
Thank you very much. I have over here an email that's very important to read, and unfortunately that is a big problem to everybody's heart, and that is basically the guy is asking, Simcha, you should vote with whoever is going to stop our school crisis. People are not taking in every child. Children are staying at home. Do something about our Heimische friends. Vote with whoever would help our school crisis in Borough Park. So there goes again, this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that people have to solve, and it's a big problem going on. A lot of people don't understand what's happening. I will not get involved saying which side it is, but it's a mamish, a disaster going out. Nice people have kids sitting at home for no good reason. I have one more email before we'll go to the phones. Here's an email from somebody, better candidates leaning towards politicians supporting rights of alternate lifestyles. Shame on all of you making New York City Sodom and Amorah. Whoever voted for him should pay for it. Some issues can be forgiven. My friend, with all due respect, Simcha Felder never voted for this, and this is not an issue that you should bring up. There's another email. How will Simcha help with tuition? I have an idea. Since vouchers had not come to fruition, just like health insurance gets deducted from my paycheck and I pay taxes on the remainder of my check, so do tuition. should get deducted from my paycheck and then pay taxes on the remainder of my paycheck. That's if there is any money left over it.
Okay, we're going to take some phone call. You want to respond to that?
No, I would not respond to that.
Okay, let's take some phone call. Yeah, go ahead, Moshe.
I have one more email. Hi, I think since Mr. Felder ran on the Democratic and on the conservative line, he should caucus with either one, whoever offers the best for our community. Thank you. That is correct, and this is what the questions has been all night, since that's what Senator-elect Felder said, that he will caucus with whoever gives the best for the communities. So guys, send in some emails what you feel the community needs and he asks for. But let's go back to our busy phone line.
212-769-1925 are our numbers if you want to have elected officials represent you. What do you want from them? 212-769-1925. You want to email. It's info@talklinecommunications.com. You're listening to Moshe Friedman here on the Talkline with Zev Brenner broadcast. Moshe Friedman, political consultant and analyst. Let's go to Kensington. Sally from Kensington. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air.
Just wanted to mention District 19, District 5 was redistricted this time. There was about 2 to 2.5 hour wait minimum, anytime after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Tons and tons of people walked out after waiting about 45 minutes or so.
That's a very good point. And whose assembly district is that?
I'm not so familiar. I didn't get to vote. I'm saying I don't know.
Who's your councilman over there? Would you know that?
I'm not familiar.
You're not familiar. If you want to give me, please, your name and number of private, we have over here, some people will take you off here. If you want to give us your number, we would really look into that, because that is a big problem if that really happened.
Will do.
Okay, hold on. We'll take down your name and address off the air, and we'll see. Moshe will look into it. By the way, before we get to your emails, are you considering running for office, Moshe?
Definitely not. I enjoy the fact being with other politicians to help for the community. Everybody has their job, their little job. I'm definitely not interested in that. I got over here a very interesting question that I'd like to respond in email before we go back to our phones. And the question is, now, what's the plan for Community First going forward? I think all the candidates, they lost. Well, first of all, we are not advocating for candidates. We're not here to help candidates win. We're here to help the community, the middle class, to come forward. If you would realize that the last half a year, what we did with the Paisach Halika, we did the rides for Chalamoid, we went ahead and we made sure that there should be a race in Borough Park. We're going ahead preparing a very big Paisach Halika this year. We're working right now for the middle class on a few different ways. To give you an example, people are looking, you talk about jobs, you want to do jobs, but what we're working right now is to help the real estate industry. There's a lot of regulations going on in the New York State real estate market, which besides the fact that now the storm came up and they could really use more affordable housing, there wasn't built affordable housing throughout the entire area. A lot of our Heimische people are involved in that market. What that does is it brings for them some money, it brings for the subcontractors, it brings for a lot of Heimische people involved in that industry. Then they turn around into our communities and they spend the money. These are things that come back to the community, and issues like that will come up constantly that we will be there and help. We will definitely continue supporting different candidates, and we will continue to fight for the middle class and for other people to go on and do it. Sitting next to me right now in the studio is Jacob Kornbluh, and he came in all upset that I said Obi Mori was the loser of the week. Jacob, I did not tell you that Obi Mori was the loser of the week. I told you that between my winners and losers column, I could not put him in as a winner. I know you on your website put him in as a winner, but I had a personal issue with him if I would be able to put back the Tishla kids on the ballot, and if I will be able to knock the tax cuts line off. We did put back the Tishla brothers on the ballot, and I was in the process of knocking him off. We were waiting about another 200 votes. If not for Kalman Yeager coming in and asking me nicely, do me a favor, besides helping Simcha Felder and being quiet on there, just let Obi keep that line. That's when I backed off. I cannot put him into my winner column. I did not follow the race. If you feel that he did a good job, then go ahead, right? He's the winner. But I'm still asking why Simcha brought in Kalman the last minute if Obi was such a good winner.
Listen, I'm just referring everybody to read my post on my website, jacobkornbluh.com. I wrote about everything that I had with the race and why I think Obi Mori was the winner. If somebody disagrees, you can always comment, email me or tweet me, and I'll be glad to take your comments.
Here's another interesting email. Hi Moshe, is it true that Dov Heiken has plans to retire and put his son Yoni in to replace him? And if yes, can he put his son in to replace him in the middle of a term? Here's a two-part answer to this. This question if Dov Heiken plans to retire or not, I think you should leave that up to Dov Heiken. Could he put his son Yoni in? The answer is yes and no. He will have to go through a special election, but since he's the district leader and he has a lot of other people involved, yes, he could recommend him and put him up without petitions. Would he win based on nepotism? I don't believe so. I believe that people are giving a pass for Dov Heiken since they've done so much in the community, but I don't think that they will leave him in there to get out that vote, but that's really not a question for the night. We're looking what to ask Simcha Felder. Here's one more email that I have. How can anyone have supported Felder? Felder was the better candidate, leaning towards the politician right. Okay, you guys are sending me the same email that Felder was not on the right side with this. This is not true, and this is completely wrong to come and blame him for alternate lifestyle. He had nothing to do with that. I would give over right now the phone to my good friend Jacob Kornbluh. He'd like to comment on the presidential race. Everybody, I get the vach, and thanks for listening in. We will have some interesting news in about 2 weeks from now. Motzei Shabbos will be on the air of a couple of minutes. Please follow us in 2 weeks from now, which we're going to have some major announcements concerning Community First. I get the vach, Zev, and it was a pleasure being with you.
Good to have you, and hope you join us again. Go ahead, Jacob.
Well, first I wanted to comment on Moshe Friedman's remarks. We did argue a lot, and I did believe that Mitt Romney is going to pull this off. However, I did not predict, like others on the radio predicted, that Mitt Romney is going to win big. Some even went to Florida to stump for Mitt Romney. They came back to a devastated Brooklyn. How did that go? Mitt Romney lost Florida, and he gained a little points in the Jewish vote. I wanted to address this issue because people come up to me and they ask me, first of all, how come you are such a loser? You always back the loser. If it's McCain, if it's others. And my answer is that this time I really believe that Mitt Romney is going to make it for the reason why Barack Obama won in 2008. That was the message of change. It wasn't so much about demographics, it was about the message of change. However, there are two factors why Barack Obama won. And it's not because Barack Obama is a better candidate, it's not because he's better for Israel, and it's not because he's a Democrat and he's the food stamps president. The reason why Barack Obama won was, number one, he emotionally connected to people, which Mitt Romney failed to do. And I'll give you an example. If you have kids and you have a sick child that has a cold, has fever, a runny nose, and hungry in the middle of the night, all the mother can do is just pick up the baby, cuddle the baby, and just try and comfort the baby until everything goes forward. They can't heal the baby. The cold doesn't go away by minutes. The same that Barack Obama knows he cannot heal this nation. He cannot do what's necessary to fix this economy. All he can do is comfort us. It will be okay. Don't worry, I'm here. I'll take care of you. And this is what Mitt Romney failed to do, what Barack Obama did. The second is the demographics. Mitt Romney didn't bring out his conservative base. If it was people like Sarah Palin and her supporters that thought we rather have a liberal in the White House than a Republican in name only which acts like a liberal, or if it's those minorities should think, no, Republicans only talk about deficit, jobs, they would cut Medicare, food stamps, benefits, and everything, which is not true, but this is for another discussion. So Mitt Romney didn't lose the election. The American people lost this election. Mitt Romney will do well. He has $250 million left. He can go on for his entire life, live happily with his wife and children, but we are the 23 million Americans that are unemployed or underemployed that won't find anything over the next 4 years, and God help us that our president is guided by some real advice like I would appoint Moshe Friedman as the national security advisor or a senior strategist.
Well, they're looking
for
somebody to head the CIA right now.
Yeah, but there comes with some perks, that job. Let me ask you something, Jacob, because we got to go back. I got some interesting emails again about the school crisis. It looks like that should be a complete different issue, because my emails do not stop bombarding me about speaking about the school crisis, and everybody's asking me the same things. What are our elected officials doing for the school crisis? Please do and help us for our Heimische friends, and that is a subject that we should be talking again and again. But did I hear correct that Mitt Romney didn't lose the presidency, Jacob?
Again, Mitt Romney didn't lose. Now, he didn't lose. He didn't win the presidency. He didn't lose by this game because he'll do well. He did well, and he'll do well. He wasn't a bad candidate. It was the campaign that was, I would say, even an arrogant campaign. My email from January.
He ran his campaign the way he ran Bain Capital. But let's go back to
Barack Obama won already.
We're out of time, but let's squeeze in one phone call. Jeff from Manhattan, very patiently waiting. Thank you, Jeff, for waiting. Your question for our guest.
Yeah, hi. I'm going to make a few quick comments about Simcha Felder as an outsider, not an insider. So I don't really know what's going on, but from outside, 3 quick points. What I heard about the reason he left the city council and went working for the controller was because he was going to make more money, and I think that was wrong. Number 2, you look at the last Democrats that pretended to be Republicans, Pedro Espada, Carl Kruger, they're all in jail. Number 3, when he's saying, I'm going to do what's best for my constituents, it sounds like what he might really be saying is, I'm going to do what's best for Simcha Felder, and that's going to backfire, I think, in 2 ways. Because number 1, a lot of his constituents voted for the Democrat because they thought he was a Democrat, and he will have disenfranchised them. 2, many observant families are large, and they are best served by Democrat majorities. And by being a Republican, he will frustrate that when we have, as opposed to having Democratic governor, assembly, and Senate, they won't all agree, the 3 bodies, but it'll be much better for observant families with lots of children.
Let me have our guest respond to you.
The fact that a lot of children over here, they need help, that is correct, but that's something that we should be working to get rid of. We cannot continue to live with a lot of families on government help, and we need some more help to cut the red tape, and people should be able to be self-sufficient. And on that base, the Republicans are doing a lot. And comparing people that went to jail because they pretended to be Republicans versus somebody that is considered an honest and stand-up man, even though I had my different issues with him, is completely off. I wish for Simcha good luck. And this is a big decision to make, because a lot of people in the state, whether from the community or out of the community, are looking which way he's going, and we all hope that Hashem should give him the right peace of mind, that he should be able to make that decision in peace. I'd like to remind my listeners again before leaving, please help the families in Seagate. The phone number to help is 718-557-7774, or on the web at Seagate Hurricane Emergency Fund.blogspot.com. A good Tavach, everybody. A pleasure to be here, and thanks for listening. We will be back for more.
Anyway, thank you for that and the many issues raised tonight. And if you were on the line or we didn't get your emails, we'll do that when Moshe Friedman returns, political consultant and analyst. And Jacob Kornbluh, thank you for being live in our studios. When we